What's up, guys? Kyle Bradshaw here. We're up in the San Bernardino National Forest this morning testing out this brand new Yamaha T7. Now this bike has been a long time coming. You've seen lots of reviews from Australia, from Canada, from Europe, from all over the East Coast now. California has yet to get their first batch of T7s. This bike came from a different state, which gives me the opportunity to be able to test it today. Big shout out to both Bike Bandit and Travis from Every Single Sunday. Please, if you haven't already, go over to those two channels, sign up and take a look at what they're doing. They're doing a lot of cool things. But today I've spent about 150 miles. I've been on this bike for about 5 hours this morning, and I gotta say, Yamaha has knocked it out of the park with this thing. We've seen some reviews that say it's really good. We've seen some reviews that say it's really bad. And I gotta say, after having ridden this bike kind of back to back with 5 other adventure motorcycles, I gotta say that this is the easiest of all of them to ride. It's the most user-friendly, it's the most simplistic, and it just works. Now the first thing I noticed swinging my leg over, it has one of the lowest seat heights of all of the big adventure bikes. I can tippy-toe both feet on this bike. I can't do that on a KTM, I can't do it on an Africa Twin, and I can't surely do it on a big BMW adventure bike. Unless you get the lowered version with the lowered seat, but that completely negates the reason that we're buying these motorcycles. Long travel suspension, being able to handle well on the road, being able to tackle relatively rough off-road. So come on in and I'll show you some of the things that I have experienced today while being on this bike. It's been really, really fun. So I'm gonna have my first ride video. It's gonna post up next week. It's also going to be my first adventure video. I took this bike all the way to the very end of Ladle Creek this morning. We actually got into like a box canyon that came down with the waterfall at the end. Beautiful, gorgeous. This bike performed flawlessly. I gotta say that one of the first things, so that full review, please stay tuned. Hit that like button, the subscribe bell, or the subscribe button and the notification bell, and then you'll be alerted when that video does launch. But really what I gotta say is Yamaha, I mean, the motor's tried and true. We've known that for a long time. It's really, really smooth. The power that this thing puts down is so linear. As far as a power band goes, it just is just the same from the bottom to the top, and it's strong. Lots of torque, lots of power. It just feels really good. There wasn't a single time when riding this bike, if I was a noob rider, that I would feel that twisting the throttle accidentally is going to get me in trouble. It's just that linear and that smooth that it just starts to pick up, and then if you want less, you just back it off again. Ergonomics of the bike, everything felt really good. Like I said, the suspension for stock suspension really performed well. I mean, I had this thing going over some really large boulders out there in Ladle Creek, and it soaked it up and it did it really, really, really well. Now another thing this bike has is the Dunlop Rally Raid tires on it. Those tires have been amazing as well. They're mostly dirt tires, so probably a 90% dirt, 10% street, if you're really gonna put a number to it. You can see that out there on the pavement, we've gone ahead and worn down all these side lugs here because we're leaning this thing over really hard. So some of the corners down there on Highway 18, so you can see Highway 18 over here in the distance. And we're hitting some of those corners at 85 miles an hour coming down the mountain, completely leaned over. I didn't touch a peg down, which I was actually surprised about. I mean, they're really high off the ground, but my KTM touches peg pretty easy, so does the Africa Twin. This bike, it didn't happen. And we were very, very far leaned over, getting some good scrub. You can see here on the back tire, we also had this thing completely over all the way to the edge. You can see we actually came over here on the edges just a bit. Overall though, this bike, man, if there was only one downfall, it would be overall total horsepower. I mean, going up Highway 18, I had that throttle completely pinned open in 4th and 5th gear. I didn't even need to get into 6th gear because if I did, it kind of lugged a little bit in what I was doing. But yeah, having to pin the throttle full open in order to get up past there, that would be a little bit of a concern as far as if you were fully loaded, riding 2 up, you just have to dial it back a little bit and not hot rod up the mountain. But yeah, got the skid plate to use, climbing over some of those rocks down in the wash today. The windscreen, the wind protection on this bike is phenomenal as well. The way that they got this wind coming up and over you and these little side shields right here send the air out kind of around your body itself. There's a really big clean airspace right here inside the cockpit. When it comes to controls, everything's really easy. You either function by these two buttons or hitting this switch over here that allows you to kind of toggle through things. I went through a whole tank of fuel today. And I gotta say, I railed this thing. And it said it was getting 45 miles to the gallon overall. But at times it was reading 95 miles to the gallon. Other times it was reading 16 miles to the gallon. So go figure. What a gorgeous day. Anyway,